Hello, everybody. Welcome to Stone Avoid. I'm your host, Jay Phillips. Joining me, as always, Patrick Collins.
That's me.
Don Bowie.
Hey.
The biggest thing that has happened in Forcible news lately is definitely got to be Worlds. I know that we said that we're going to be talking about it this week, so of course, let's just go ahead and start off with it before we get into anything else.
Yeah, gotta analyze that stuff.
So everybody was also, one important thing everybody's asking, how many Americans will make it into the top 8?
You said 2 or 3, right? I said at least 2 or 3. I knew that it was going to be a storm. Jay was saying there's got to be at least 1 because...
Just odds, just pure number.
Okay, so 6 Americans made it to top 8. Mm-hmm. 1 Italian, and then 1... I keep on forgetting where Funk is from. Is it Indonesia or Malaysia?
Malaysia, I think.
Okay, well, you guys know
Pacific
who he is.
Islander.
He's dark, grim. He's one of the most famous players in the
Team
Forcible
Ogre.
community. Yeah, and he's the leader of Team Ogre. He's pretty well known. So he got 4th place. I believe 3rd place was Nicholas Heel. He's from Team Outer World.
Yeah,
I believe Team Outer World. And then 2nd place was Quinn Kateki from Team Tavern. And then Aaron Miles was from also Team Outer World. So Team Outer World did a really good job. They got 3 of their players in the top 8, 2 from Tavern, and then I forgot what the other guy was from, but he was from another decent team too. Sorry that I don't remember the other 4 right off the top of my head.
It seemed like the teams are definitely the way that the tournament went.
Okay, so you have to give some credit to Jay because in one of the podcasts you're like, whoever was on the teams was most likely going to strive well, and I think that's something we kind of glossed over. I mean, you can obviously expand on that.
That's my experience from coming from a Magic the Gathering background. It's teams. That's the way you get in. It's the people who test alone, things like that. It's strenuous. It's hard to do. You can't run variables. Your opponent, your teammates, will find mistakes, find flaws that you have tested over and didn't even notice for 3 days straight, and when they find it, they report back to you. Teams is the quintessential, the almost only way to actually go to an event like this. And that's why I've actually seen a couple of blogs come out of people coming up to the event who immediately were absorbed into other teams to help start testing for this, and they all run the exact same deck. Why? Because just numbers. The same reason why Americans were destined to make it into the top is just numbers, for both the decks and them in general. That's how you do these type of events. And also with the format as limited as 140 cards, you guys are going to be able to run the numbers on everything that way. I mean, it's the smallest format of cards I've ever really seen for TCG.
That's deck constructed,
yeah,
right?
Deck constructed.
Yeah, I mean, these teams, just surrounding yourself with better players is definitely the best way to just get above the game. I just remember playing Smash Brothers. The only time I ever got better was literally by playing people who were better than me. It's just that game. I mean, it's one of those things where you can get better other ways, but definitely a very easy way to at least progress. Well, I don't know if I would call it easy, but a way that has been proven to work is by playing with better people and learning from them and learning your mistakes. I actually played Quinn Kateki in the first LA AGP that I went to, and I've said this on other podcasts. One of the best things to do is if you lose to somebody and they're obviously better than you kind of ask them hey, did you see anything that I could have done better? I mean, I know a lot of people are uncomfortable asking these questions, but if you are kind of where I am, where you're this kind of casual competitive guy, you think you're the best in your head, but at the same time you're I'm kind of just a scrub, but you want to get there, you want to get better. You have to ask people who are better than you how to play better and what you could have done. You try to do your best to memorize what was in your hand at a certain point in time,
Are you asking TCG players to be humble? I don't know. Most people come from Magic backgrounds.
But Force of Will they've been pretty nice to me. Quinn Kateki helped
definitely
me out.
Different community.
There definitely is I mean, I think some of the higher, the better players of this game, I think some of them do kind of have an air about them, like they are better than everyone else, but they kind of deserve to have that air because they've been doing better than everyone else. But at the same time, they're very nice guys when you talk to them.
Yeah.
It's not like they're just being rude for no reason at all.
And I've never had anybody actually be like that.
I haven't either.
I think this is just a better, more tight niche community in general. Mainly because there's so few of us, so we got to stick together as a part of it too.
I think it's also the core of the game. Like, there's less luck-based things, and it's your own fault that you lose. Like, that's a big thing for people being salty. Like, you can always blame it on something, but in Force of Will, it's like usually you.
Yeah. So, anyways, we're getting a little off subject here, but back to the main thing is Worlds. The number one most deck that I think I saw throughout the entire week was the Feasting's deck, or a Feasting as the main ruler.
Yeah, Feasting was the most popular. It was like roughly around 30% of the meta. Then I think 20% Charlotte, and then the next ones were Mercurius, Mikage the vampire dude, and then there's another one. It might have been, was it Zero? There's another third one that kind of popped up. All the rulers were represented, but I think only like Mars and Yog Slothoth only had like one or two people representing them. So obviously, like Feasting and Charlotte had the best chance of making the top 8 just because their sheer numbers, because those decks were weak to apparently a black-white Mikage deck, but the black-white Mikage deck was weak to other things. I'm sorry, I just remember what the other deck was. It was Wukong. Wukong was in the other top 3, not Zero. Zero was off in the closet because white wasn't very well supported in this set as a limited set. It has some strong cards, but because the Zero's magic and then the white flashing night guy are really good, but other than that, there's not much else to say for it in the limited set.
Yeah. And with this limited group of cards, I think the one thing that we can take away from this is that Hook is extremely busted when you only have this many cards.
Yeah, well, a lot of cards are extremely busted with just this many cards.
Yeah.
I would argue that there's a few cards that I think were more impactful than Hook, to be honest.
A little bit of testing that Mean Don did, Hook could completely just stop your opponent from playing against you.
Okay, so E-Punk ran, I think, who's the only one in the top 8 who ran a 10-stone list, and I think 4 or 5 of his stones were basic. I think one of the standout cards in this limited set, and I think could see a lot of standard play, I think is called Magic Stone Analysis. So it's 2 mana and bring out a basic stone into play untapped, right? Yeah. So that was a very good way of setting off Torrent.
Yes.
Because you played that, you get a green stone and hopefully play a familiar or your 1-drop elf, and then you get your bonus elf if you're playing Feasting. Yeah. I think that card was really overlooked, and I think what's the card in Magic that it's super comparable to? It's it just grabs a land and then puts
Rapid Growth.
Rapid Growth, which is a crazy good ramp card in Magic also. Yeah. Red Boy, I think, is a good card because it's a board wipe and a body.
Yeah, I gotta agree with that one.
Like, I don't know how much play it can see, but the fact that you can also revive him or like cheat him out of a deck or whatever, and he still does 500 damage to your opponent's board. Like that's pretty huge. Like, it doesn't sound that big, but that's actually really good. But he's devastating in this limited format. The cat and the elf are, of course, just busted.
Key cards,
I
think no matter what deck you're running green as your base shell, and then from all the decks in top 8 seem to be really heavily green, and then splashing into those other cards.
Red and blue.
Yeah. Well, Quinn Koteki, I think when I was watching him, his stone lineup was all blue, and 4 of the stones were green-blue, or something like that. And he was running House of the Six Sages to get the other mana source and the Melfi's, so he played a deck with the stone base that countered a lot of Captain Hook decks. And that's
a good way to
one
go
of the
around
reasons why he got up there.
Okay. There's a lot of different ways that I saw people trying to do stuff in this tournament. I can't disagree with any of them. They all seem to be pretty tight lists. I mean, that just came out of that much testing. The weirder problem that I stem from this is this is also the exact same lineup of cards that we have for the Battle Simulator. For people who don't know, the Battle Simulator finally released, and that just occurred a couple days ago. And on there, the only cards that you have right now to work with are going to be the ones that they also had available at Worlds.
Frozen Casket.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which might I just put it out there, banning in block constructed Hook for the time being.
Yeah,
until we get some more cards to play with.
I mean, definitely talk to whoever you're playing with, but it might be fun to play without Hook.
Yeah.
Just a suggestion.
Yeah.
You don't have to follow this rule.
The ramp Hook deck is just so strong, and you can get it out on like turn 3, and that's just crazy.
And then you just play forever if your opponent's also playing ramp Hook. So it's
no, if you set back an opponent that's playing ramp Hook, the first person that gets it sets the other person too far back to come back.
Really?
In a reasonable amount of time.
Are you sure with all the Melfies and elves out there?
It's one. Okay, so it's one of those things like when you hook your opponent the first time, you're not going to win right then and there. You're not going to win the next turn, or the next turn, or the next turn, but you're going to win. It's like back in the days when you were in Magic the Gathering, started to make this comparison of Sphinx's Revelation. It's one of those cards that doesn't kill them, but they've already lost. You're just playing at the corpse of game, is what it feels like.
I felt when I was watching the stream, I felt like it was almost whoever got their bombs first, but also kept on grabbing their bombs.
That's the thing, is the deck's consistent. It goes after that. It's not by accident that it keeps applying pressure. You just have your resources and your opponent doesn't have a way to respond to them as well as you now do.
Yes, but I remember watching a match and it clearly looked like one player was going to win. You know, he had Hook first and all that, but he ran out of steam. Like, he just wasn't drawing the right cards, and the other guy just literally got like 2 red boys in a row, and it's like... Then he ended up coming back. I'm just saying.
I mean, well, then that's coming down to the actual variance that the game does have. There's sometimes you don't draw your second hook or you don't draw your red boys. Those are, I think, the smaller percentages of the game. It's the same thing in back in Magic when you Sphinx's Revved and you didn't draw another Sphinx's Rev to keep going again. It's the same thing in this one. As soon as you get that card, if you get it again, and then you just keep that tempo rolling, like it's one of those things where. This format allows you to just kind of keep up on your opponent over the long run, and they don't realize they already lost, but you're going to get there. I feel that's how this format feels when you're playing it. And when I watched a little bit, I didn't watch as much as you guys did. I've actually had to go back and watch it after the stream. It kind of feels that way from what I've seen. But maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there is variance, but I think that if you Captain Hook turn 1 and you have an okay, like, starting... the first one to Captain Hook.
First one to do it, yeah.
And, like, you have way better odds. Like, your odds shoot up, like, 20-30% of winning. Like,
2 resources back is very hard to come back from.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, it's good. Yeah, Hook was really hard to deal with in that meta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other way, that brings me to the next point is, Battle Simulator did release, and we actually do have a video already up if you guys want to take a look on just what it looks like. And hopefully later on, before this video even gets released, most likely, we'll actually have a few more videos up of us actually playing it for you guys. I know I already said it in the video, and I don't want to rechew it too much, but this being in a beta, we don't know how it's going to be in the long term. But as of right now, playing with other people is not a thing. And I definitely felt like going into the Battle Simulator that I thought this was going to be the way that I get to play with average Joe that doesn't have a locals and really wants to play. And it turns out this is the game of, hey, I actually have friends, let me play with those because we already play already. And I don't think that that's how this game will thrive. Yeah. Like, I think it's strongly handicapping itself right out of the gate.
Yeah, I mean, we just have to remind ourselves it's a beta. Like,
yes.
We could literally just be like, this is just a look, not to touch, you know?
Yeah.
Like, just kind of look around, feel around, see what you like, don't like. I hope you guys go into it like with that mindset, because obviously a lot of people are sketched out with giving out their
information.
With
good reason. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen out in the world anymore. Why give yourself an opening to it? I completely understand everybody's hesitation to wanting to do it. Even during our live stream, we had to try to do, because we've already streamed this once on our Twitch channel, which if you haven't already, go ahead and check out our Twitch channel. We'll be streaming on that, most likely all of our content, and then posting it to YouTube later, which is just Stone Avoid at the end of it. Nice little plugs. You made me forget where I was going with that.
But for the battle simulator, if you don't want to give out your IP address, there are alternatives. I know that you can grab a temporary IP. You can also use Hamachi, which is something that creates a server that you can just route it through. And there are other ways. If you look on the Facebook group, there are people like cautioning, don't do this, here are the alternatives. I know that Reddit has some links over there too. Yeah. Just for you people that want to be safe.
And play.
Yeah.
Be safe.
But yeah, it is nice that I'm pretty sure when this goes to full launch, I can't imagine them not incorporating some sort of matchmaking feature in some capacity.
Hopefully some friends list or something. That'd be sick.
There's too many game like platforms and things like that are easy to code those things into nowadays that I can't imagine them just not utilizing something.
Yeah, I mean, but I have to say, with all this weird matchmaking stuff, the game looks beautiful.
Yes.
It looks really good. Other than like the actual battle, where I still think the opponent's field is kind of hard to see, but I mean, you could always scroll over there.
Yeah,
you know, it's not the worst thing in the world, though.
You're definitely spending a bit of your time going over the top of your opponent's spells to actually see what they are until you remember what they are just from like seeing the little like pixel art. But that's just from the plane that it's tilted at. It's definitely a different experience for sure. Yeah. Altogether. Anything you want to add about it?
I mean, the thing that I felt while playing it, it was weird. It didn't feel like I was playing Force of Will. Like, it was just like...
Yeah.
It was a different game. It's really hard to play over, like, online. It's not the same as holding these cards and, like, thinking what to do. Maybe it's because I'm just not used to the client yet, but it's, like, not as good as Paper Magic.
It definitely showed you the amount of interactions that are capable at all times. Misclick is definitely a thing that's going to occur a lot in this game, where you just sacrifice your thing because you felt like it instead of attacking with it. And that's just because of the amount of interactions the game has and allows you to do at almost any time.
That happens.
I tried a Tama.
Yeah.
I tried to attack with Tama.
And you attacked Tama. Cool.
Yeah. So it's a little kooky, but you gotta kind of like it for what it is right now. Hopefully we'll see support come out for it soon.
Definitely.
I don't know. I think it looks really glossy, and I'm excited to what it has to offer in the future, to be honest.
You know, once they make like a matchmaking, and then they make like a world's list of top players, like...
Like a competitive thing?
Like a competitive elo system for this thing.
Why?
I would...
They don't need that.
I mean,
it doesn't need a lot of things. I think you do. It doesn't need the little emote symbols, but
we don't need free promos. We don't need these whatever playmats. We don't need this game. We have to remind ourselves that this is all free. We can't just complain about all this free stuff we are getting. This is a free game. Have you made a free game, a card game full of a bunch of different cards, and gave it to random people?
I've made a free game.
Are you gonna go out of your way to also be like, oh, I'm also gonna be like the top leaders list?
I mean, like,
this is a free game. Say thank you. Like,
I'm grateful.
Come on, guys.
I'm grateful to them, but
I'm not saying anything.
There's no incentive to like play besides
it's a deck testing program.
Sure, it's a deck testing program, but what if they made it true? It's just
what added value are they gonna get out of it? We're gonna make no money by you guys beating each other up.
It is a form of advertisement for them.
The game itself.
Yeah.
How much added advertisement is the competitive leaderboards going to add?
So what this is going to do is it's going to create like a ranking leader system, and that's going to influence people to watch these top players. Like, these are the people that are top in their game. They can just jump on their people.
Yeah,
we already know who the top of the players are.
Yeah, but they can jump on their computer.
I do gotta say that yours is a little bit over top.
We can stream. The top players can stream their stuff. They already stream their stuff. I don't know about you guys, but I've played a lot of games with ranking systems, and they are kooky. Like, leaving games is really somehow screws that whole ranking system up because it's a lot more complicated than people think it is.
Yeah, I don't want a scoreboard necessarily. I don't care about that. I just want matchmaking. That's all I want is a good, easy matchmaking.
Cool.
That's all I can ask for. Other than that, the game's great. I absolutely loved my experience on it. The best deck building experience I've ever had for an online TCG.
It looks beautiful.
Thank you, Force of Will.
I mean, I could honestly live without this game. But
no. I just
because I love playing in person. Yeah. But I mean, I know there's some of you out there that it's very difficult, and I hope you guys get this game. I hope this game ends up working for the guys who have a tough time finding someone to play and who are just super interested and want to play this game.
So, outside of that random little controversy, let's actually get back on to another positive note, and probably the most exciting thing for me that occurred all week, something I just can't stop thinking about because, I mean, it had so many tentacles. I just couldn't even. And, of course, what I'm saying is the Force Will movie. Yes. Not only has it been something that I've been back and forth about, it's this trailer, I don't know what's going on, and I don't care.
Zero fighting.
Just want... This is what happens when you just need to finish your homework, and there's just so much going on, and you just, giant tentacle beasts attack you. But then you can't go to your teacher and complain, well, the tentacle beasts, no, you've used that excuse before. No, I have no idea what's going on in this storyline at all. You can make up a million different things for it, but man, does it look
I think
amazing.
It looks really nice, yeah.
I think he captures Lovecraft in a very modern age very well. This is...
Oh, interesting. I would say these aren't Cthulhu's. I think they're Cthulhu-based because some of the things look like mechanical. I think there's these giant eyes, mechanical-looking eyes.
I mean, who's to say that we don't get a Mecha Cthulhu coming out soon?
The modern age Cthulhu.
Just the hardcore Cthulhu people I've talked to, they seem to get really offended that these are even cards in Force of Will because they're like, okay, first of all, Cthulhu, you cannot beat Cthulhu. That's always the first thing I hear. So I mean, it's just
yes, but I'd rather them be this than for somebody to walk around and calling him Eldrazi.
Yeah, that's true. It's really funny. I was watching what is normally I think it's TCG players doing their little reviews on this, and they call them Eldrazi and not Cthulhu. When talking about the card types, they literally called these Cthulhu Eldrazi.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why what they could have done with them, all the different things. Long story short, this is what we got, and I love the card type.
I think
at
it's
this
awesome.
Point.
Yeah, it's rumored that the next Vin Golf will be based off this, heavily rumored.
Please.
And this will be
not a video game.
No,
but it's an animated property, I guess.
Off of the movie.
Yeah,
and they're subject to thinking that this Vin Golf box based off these movies will be a lot. Will have a stronger power level of cards because they didn't want people to associate strong cards with the animes that they were doing of Vin Golf boxes for, apparently, or the video games that
I can understand that.
Yeah, so they didn't want too much attention to be drawn towards those video game animes. They want the attention drawn towards so it's going to be almost like promotion for the Force of Will movie to have these strong, powerful cards be in that.
Okay, which might be a thing because those art styles and everything was just so lazily drawn in the Vin Golf, there wasn't an actual background for most of them.
Yeah,
you mean
it was just
the
video
seem very generic,
were just another imposed image of the person.
I mean, if it continues the way that it's continuing right now, this is the most hyped thing I am for, and I didn't think I would be.
Another free thing, a movie, yeah.
Yeah, no, this is the coolest thing. I enjoy this whole thing as a concept. I'm hoping that this makes a ton of money for them in various different ways. I'll buy the DVD for it. Why not? I mean, this is fun. This is what I want to see. Like, this is not just a card game at this point.
This is something else that they didn't have to do.
Yeah, but I mean, they're building a small little empire of things.
They're building a culture.
This is
like Apple.
Yeah, this is in the long run. I don't think this is just another TCG. This is they're trying to do something that was heavily available to do back in the 90s, and we haven't seen anybody else try since.
Like a reverse Yu-Gi-Oh thing?
Yeah, it's kind of like a reverse Yu-Gi-Oh. I mean, that's what they all used to do back in the day, but this is like a more like honest way of doing it. It's not a heavy marketing trying to sell toys type of thing. It's not it's not scheming. This
movie doesn't look like it's even related to the card game at all.
It's just a genuine, like, we enjoy what we're doing. This is what I want to do in my life. Let's try to share this with as many people as ever, and this is what I love about this game. It's, for me, more than just a card game at this point. We don't make this video here.
It's a choice.
I mean,
it's a lifestyle.
To be fair, we didn't start this YouTube channel for, to become like, anything other than enjoyment, honestly.
I did it to get rich, but I don't know.
I mean, you're in the wrong place. This is definitely just something that I've never felt this way about trying to do this with another card game. This got me off.
Pokemon.
Well, I mean, I love Pokemon, but I didn't go out and start a Pokemon channel.
You had no one to start it with.
It's true.
Dog got my back. But you wanted to talk about Pokemon like everything.
Yeah. No, this is the first time that I've found something that I could completely stand behind, that this is something I wanted to champion, kind of.
Force of Will.
Force of Will should be the best card game out there.
It to me, it honestly is.
I mean, it's all about opinion, right?
Yeah.
But it just is.
But on the ICV list, it should be at least number 2.
But that's like sales, right?
Yeah, but it's still popularity marked up as sales.
I think in the long run, I think what I can just say from this alone, from these movies coming out, from this and stuff, just from the self-momentive train that they have right now, no matter what, it's not going to crash in any sort of fashion that it doesn't just at least barrel forward.
Overexert themselves.
But even if they overexert themselves, it's already at the point where it's going to barrel over into a cult classic at worst. And at best, they're going to wind up just rising out of all of their past mistakes to something much, much better. I feel like the game has too much momentum to discount at the point of it's not going to be the Dot Hack Enemy game. It's not going to be Zatch Bell, which are all games that we're ironically playing right now. But it's not going to be one of those it's not going to be even Weiss Schwartz or the other card games, Vanguard, which those games have all kind of skewed off to absurdity. I feel like this game, at very worst, it's going to be like how Dice Masters is awkwardly coming back out of absurdly nowhere. It's going to be like one of those games that somehow just holds on with a culture of people and a company that refuses to give up on everybody and just slowly just come back, despite other people not believing in them, despite whatever it is or however the community just becomes distraught with it. This is just not going to stop here. Why? Because they've done so much to try to make this game what they want it to be, and it's I wish the best luck to how they want to keep this game going.
Got anything?
Yeah, I think that the fundamentals and the ground base of this game is really strong. The mechanics and everything is just really fun to play with, and it's not comparable to Magic to me. I just think it's, on a competitive level, it's just way more intuitive and fun than any other card game I've played. Yeah. So it's just, I don't want it to die. It's just people giving up on it for no reason. I don't know.
I think people just want to complain.
I think people do.
Okay, first of all, there's a big hype train about banning RR, right? Just like everyone's just like ban RR. And then all of a sudden it gets banned, and there's like a day or two of like joy, right? Mm-hmm. And then there was quiet, and now it's again.
All card games have that though. Yeah, everybody has it. Everybody goes through that type of stuff. I'm super just excited.
But I mean, we have to remember that Force of Will is listening to us.
Yes.
Like, we got Energized now, which is something people were saying like back in the day, like turn 2, it sucks going second. So you guys have to know that changes take a very, very long time to take place and take effect.
Yeah.
So this is how stocks and markets work. So a political action done today might not affect the market in, say, like 8 or 10 years down the line. Just because it's like, well, it takes a very long time to actually just get rolling and implemented. Yeah. So these changes, like these things, you have to understand, like they probably took in that turn 2 into account back then, but there's no room to put Energize on a card during this last Alice block. So that's why it's being implemented now.
Yeah, I mean, it's a complete rewrite to the way, like, how to implement all that stuff. That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
However, I will quickly say Force of Will is the quickest at changing something of any game that I've ever seen. Most games would have died and rebooted or done something, like, they wouldn't have done any of these changes. The amount of changes that we've seen in Force of Will from the days of Valhalla till now, people don't even realize that back in the day, you used to lose half of your life when your ruler died. There used to be 5 cards face down for something called break. I mean, the amount of things that have changed from then to now almost look like 2 different games.
Yeah, I mean, other games have survived very similar things. What, Pokemon completely like retooled itself, right?
Pokemon is still Pokemon. They've only added new mechanics.
But I mean, like the life totals and things are different, and then like their power level is super crazy compared to the old cards.
I mean,
Magic used to have anti cards, and apparently I was reading online today that Magic used to have no limit to how many of one card you can have in a deck back when it first started.
No,
I'm wrong. I read that like right when it first started. Before
maybe like day one.
Before tournaments.
Day one.
Before tournaments were even a thing.
I mean, that's kind of an obscure thing that I've never heard about. But I mean, I would have to find a rules thing from way back then. I mean, yes, other games have gone through a lot of like small changes through everything, but most of those were like slow implements over long periods of times. The way that you're saying a lot of things, but Force of Will is 2 years old. The amount of changes that we've seen, it's a little bit older in Japan, but here in the States it's only about 2 years, and the changes are dramatic in comparison to any other card game that I've seen in that amount of time.
Yes.
Sorry
agreed.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know if
I think that it's just getting smoother and smoother. Like all the changes have been well thought out and just making the game a better thing. Like,
and you like the art now, right?
I do like the art now.
Yeah.
I still don't like the gray hit the bar, but that's
the bar
about
instead
it.
of the card.
That's about it. That's the only complaint.
That's a small complaint. I absolutely love the way the cards look now. I love the art way more than ever. I think they've hit their sweet point in design. I think this is where I want the game to hit for a while.
Yeah, I think the game's great.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else you guys want to talk about for tonight?
Dang.
All the things.
I feel like we're not hitting something.
We are always forgetting something.
Yeah.
That's just the law of like asking
of
that question.
Unscripted
podcast.
Yeah.
This is what happens when you're completely off the top of the head. Zero scripting for all of our broadcasts. Thank you guys for watching through all of our mistakes and all of our craziness. I think this is where we're going to call it for the night, guys. If we missed anything, we'll try to get some more content out for you guys soon. As always, one more plug. We are streaming on Twitch. Twitch.tv / Stone Avoid. I just brought back our Twitter again. We're going to start posting on there. Definitely look forward for anything else that we're going to do. We're going to post a lot more content, guys. I know we used to only do the once a week podcast, but we're definitely going to be trying to do a lot more. So as always, I'm your host, Jay Phillips.
Joined with the biggest mistake, Patrick.
I'm the second Don.
Thank you guys for watching.